You are harassing me! You boys are done!
Ma'am, put your hands behind your back.
This is part 2. Let's go. Sergeant Watkins walked toward us with measured steps, his eyes taking in every detail. The crowd holding phones. Raines's defensive posture. My badge still clutched in Raines's shaking hand. "Sergeant, I was responding to a theft call," Raines began, his voice pitched too high. "This woman claimed to be a captain, but—" "That's Captain Carter," Watkins interrupted, his tone still casual, but with an edge sharp enough to cut. "Your commanding officer's commanding officer. The badge you're holding? It's real. I suggest you verify that fact quickly." Raines's face worked through a series of emotions. Anger, fear, calculation. His grip on my arm finally loosened as the reality of his situation sank in. The crowd had gone completely quiet now, watching the drama unfold like it was a movie. But this wasn't entertainment. This was my life, my reputation, my career hanging in the balance because I dared to shop while black. Raines started, then stopped. Words seemed to fail him. "The handcuffs, Officer Raines," Watkins said quietly. "Now." With shaking hands, Raines produced his keys and removed the handcuffs. The metal scraped against my wrists as it came off. I rubbed the red marks where it had dug into my skin, noting that I'd have bruises tomorrow. Evidence of yet another routine encounter gone wrong. A woman in a crisp business suit emerged from the mall, clutching her phone like a lifeline. Patricia Wells, according to her badge. Greenwood Mall's PR director. Her face was pale, her professional smile strained to the breaking point. "Captain Carter?" Wells called out, speaking loudly enough for the crowd's phones to pick up every word. "On behalf of Greenwood Mall, I want to extend our sincerest apologies for this unfortunate incident. We pride ourselves on being a welcoming space for all shoppers, and clearly we failed you today." "Unfortunate incident?" I repeated, my voice sharp. "Is that what we're calling racial profiling and police brutality now?" Wells flinched. More phones recorded her discomfort. "We will be conducting a full investigation. Our security protocols will be thoroughly reviewed." "Save it," I cut her off. "Your security cameras caught everything. I suggest you preserve that footage because this isn't over." The crowd murmured approvingly. Several people called out their support, offering to send their videos as evidence. While the mall's PR team tried to manage the growing crisis, Sergeant Watkins moved closer to me, speaking in a low voice meant only for my ears. "You should know, Raines was on his radio before I got here," he said quietly, writing his version of events. "Let me guess," I replied, keeping my voice equally low. "I resisted, maybe struck him during the arrest." Watkins nodded grimly. "You know how these reports work. First version on paper becomes the official narrative." I felt a fresh wave of anger, but kept my expression neutral. I'd seen this pattern before. Too many times. False reports used to justify excessive force, especially against black citizens who dared to stand up for their rights. "He doesn't know who he's dealing with," I told Watkins. The crowd was finally beginning to disperse as mall management worked to restore normal operations. Security guards herded people back inside. The show was over, at least the physical part. But the digital version was just getting started. I collected my belongings, including my badge, which Raines had dropped on the ground in his haste to get away. I wiped the dirt off the gold shield, feeling the weight of everything it represented. Everything it had failed to protect me from today. The drive home felt surreal. The familiar streets of my neighborhood looked the same, but everything had changed. My hands were steady on the steering wheel, but my mind raced through the implications of what had happened. Inside my house, I headed straight for my home office. I needed to document everything while it was fresh in my memory. Every detail, every word, every witness. My laptop powered on with a soft hum. Email notifications started pinging immediately. The first one made my stomach drop. Subject line: Incident report 2T123487. I opened the attachment, my jaw tightening as I read. According to Raines's report, I had been combative and aggressive from the start. He claimed I had struck out at security officers and resisted legitimate protocols. The report painted a picture of an angry black woman out of control, the exact stereotype I'd fought against my entire career. I sat back in my chair, the accusations burning on my screen. The email had been copied to Internal Affairs, the Chief's office, and the police union. Raines had moved fast, trying to control the narrative before I could tell my side of the story. But he'd made one critical mistake. He didn't know about all those phones, all those witnesses, all that footage spreading across the internet like wildfire. I opened social media on my phone. The videos were everywhere, trending on every platform. Millions of views already, comments flooding in from all over the country. Some expressed outrage, demanding justice. Others spewed racist venom, claiming I'd played the race card or got what I deserved. But the overall tide was turning in my favor. People were seeing the truth with their own eyes. My phone buzzed. A text from my best friend Carla Johnson. Saw the videos. Coming over. Bringing wine and Chinese food. Don't argue. I smiled despite everything. Carla had been my friend for 15 years, since law school. She'd become a defense attorney while I'd gone into law enforcement. We'd had countless debates about the system over dinner and drinks. Now she was about to see firsthand why I'd always defended it, and why I was starting to question everything I'd believed. The doorbell rang exactly 90 minutes later. Carla stood there holding a bottle of wine and 2 bags of takeout, her face set in that determined expression I knew so well. "Kitchen," she ordered, pushing past me. "We need to talk." We settled at the dining room table, the familiar comfort of our usual dinner routine now overshadowed by the day's events. Carla served the food while I poured the wine, both of us falling into a practiced rhythm that spoke of years of friendship and shared battles. "Tell me straight," I said, pushing my sweet and sour chicken around the plate. "How bad is it?" Carla took a slow sip of wine before answering. "The report is crafted perfectly to trigger an internal affairs investigation. Raines knows exactly what he's doing. He's claiming you struck him during the arrest. That's assault on an officer." "But there are videos?" I protested. "Dozens of witnesses saw what really happened." "Videos can help, but you know how the department works." Carla set down her fork. "They'll say the footage is incomplete, that it doesn't show the whole story. They'll focus on your attitude, claim you escalated the situation." She paused, choosing her words carefully. "And let's be honest, we both know how the system treats black officers who make waves." The truth of those words settled over me like a heavy blanket. I'd seen it happen to others. Captain Williams from the 12th Precinct went public about racial profiling in his department 3 years ago. Last I heard, he was working security at a warehouse in Ohio. "So, what are my options?" I asked. "Legally, we can fight it. The videos help, and your record is spotless." Carla hesitated. "But if the department decides to push this narrative, you could be looking at suspension pending investigation. They might even try to force you into early retirement." "Over a false shoplifting accusation?" My voice rose with disbelief. "No," Carla replied softly. "Over challenging the status quo, over making them look bad, over being a black woman who wouldn't just take the humiliation quietly." I stood up, walking to the kitchen window. Outside, my quiet suburban street looked peaceful, normal, but nothing felt normal anymore. "I could go public," I said, turning back to face her. "The story's already out there. I could give interviews, tell my side." Carla's expression grew more concerned. "That's risky. Remember Captain Williams. The system has ways of making examples of people who speak up." "So I'm supposed to just take it?" My hands clenched into fists. "Let them write their lies? Destroy my reputation? Everything I've worked for?" "No," Carla said firmly. "We fight smart. We gather evidence. We build a case. She hesitated again. And Denise? I don't think this is just about you. What do you mean? Carla opened her briefcase and pulled out a manila folder, spreading several documents across the table. In the past year, I've defended 6 clients, all black, all arrested at or near that mall, all charged with resisting arrest or assaulting officers. I leaned over the papers, my police training kicking in as I scanned the details. Same officers involved? Rains appears in most of them, and look at the pattern. Carla tapped one document. The charges always come after the complaints. It's like they're using the threat of prosecution to silence people. A chill ran down my spine. How many cases are we talking about? These are just the ones that came to me, Carla said quietly. How many people do you think took plea deals because they couldn't afford to fight? How many stayed quiet because they were afraid? We spent the next several hours going through the documents, looking for patterns, building connections. By the time Carla left, it was nearly midnight, but sleep wouldn't come. I sat in my darkened living room, laptop casting a blue glow over my face as I scrolled through social media. The videos of my arrest had exploded online. Millions of views, thousands of comments. Some expressed outrage, demanding justice. Others spewed racist hatred. The comments section was a battlefield of competing narratives. Then my phone buzzed. Unknown number. Back off, Captain. You don't know what you're stepping into. I stared at the screen, my training noting details automatically. Local area code. Text sent through a standard carrier. The threat was plain but carefully worded. Nothing explicitly criminal. I took a screenshot, documenting the time and date. One more piece of evidence for whatever was coming. They thought they could scare me into silence, like they'd scared so many others. They didn't know who they were dealing with. Sunlight streamed through the windows of Carla's office as I arrived at 8 a.m. sharp. The law office was quiet, most staff not due in for another hour. That's exactly why we'd planned to meet so early. I've been up all night reviewing cases, Carla said. Her desk was covered with stacks of manila folders. Dark circles under her eyes matched my own sleepless appearance. What I found? It's bigger than we thought. I settled into the chair across from her, clutching a travel mug of much-needed coffee. Show me. Carla spread out dozens of case files, creating a grid of paper across her large desk. Each of these is a false arrest report from the past year, all black residents. Most of them happened at or near Greenwood Mall. How many? 47 cases that I can confirm. But these are just the ones where people fought back or sought legal help. For every person who challenges the charges, there are probably 5 who can't afford to. I leaned forward, scanning the documents. My trained eye caught patterns immediately. Same officers showing up repeatedly. Rains, Martinez, Cooper. And look at the charges. Carla tapped several files. Resisting arrest, assaulting an officer, disorderly conduct. All charges that pit the citizen's word against the officers. Making it nearly impossible to fight in court, I added, my jaw tightening. Exactly. And here's where it gets interesting. Carla pulled out a spreadsheet she'd compiled. Of these cases, 86% end in guilty pleas. Most defendants accept deals rather than risk trial. That's way above normal plea rates, I noted, my investigator's instincts firing up. And every single plea deal includes mandatory probation. Carla's voice took on an edge. Specifically, probation through a private contractor called New Horizon Supervision Services. My eyebrows rose. Private probation? I didn't even know that was legal. It's a growing trend. Counties outsource probation monitoring to save money, but look at the fees these people are charged. Carla handed over another document. Monthly supervision fees, drug testing fees, electronic monitoring fees. Some people ended up paying thousands of dollars over their probation period. Creating a whole new debtor's prison system, I muttered, anger building in my chest. And if they can't pay? They violate probation, back to jail, more fees. It's an endless cycle. I stood up, too agitated to sit still. I need to see our internal files on this. There has to be a paper trail at the precinct. Be careful, Carla warned. After that threat last night, I'm still a police captain. I have every right to review arrest records. I gathered my things. They can't stop me from doing my job. An hour later, I sat at my desk in the precinct, methodically pulling digital records. I noticed the sideways glances from other officers, the whispered conversations that stopped when I walked by. The false arrest report had clearly made the rounds. I ignored them, focusing on my computer screen. Years' worth of arrest data scrolled past as I searched for patterns. Location: Greenwood Mall. Officer: Rains. Charge: resisting arrest. The numbers kept growing. Then I found something that made me pause. A memo about the department's partnership with New Horizons Supervision Services. The company's CEO was listed as Richard Greenwood, the same family that owned the mall. Digging deeper, I uncovered financial reports. The probation company was a subsidiary of Greenwood Holdings LLC. The mall security firm was another subsidiary. It was all connected. My phone buzzed. A text from Carla. Found something else. These cases spike every quarter right before the mall reports earnings to shareholders. My mind raced. More arrests meant more people on probation. More people on probation meant more fees collected. The mall's security targeted black shoppers. Local police made arrests on false charges. And the Greenwood family profited from the resulting probation payments. It was systematic, organized, criminal. I printed key documents, tucking them into my briefcase. On my way out, I caught more whispers, more stares. Let them talk. I had bigger concerns now. That afternoon, I parked across from Greenwood Mall. The building's glass facade gleamed in the sun, projecting an image of upscale prosperity. Yesterday, I'd seen it as the scene of my humiliation. Now I saw it differently. I watched shoppers coming and going, mall security guards stationed at every entrance, hands on radios. A young black mother hurrying past, clutching her purse close, eyes darting nervously. A teenage boy being tailed by a guard, just like I had been. The scale of it hit me all at once. How long had this been going on? How many lives had been derailed by false charges? How many families had been bled dry by probation fees? All to pad the Greenwood family's profits. I gripped my steering wheel, knuckles white with fury. In my 20 years of law enforcement, I'd seen plenty of corruption, plenty of systemic racism. But this was different. This was calculated, organized, exploitation. My phone rang. I didn't recognize the number, but something made me answer. Captain Carter, this is Maya Lopez from the City Herald. I'd like to talk to you about what happened at the mall. I hesitated. Talking to the press could help or hurt, but the story was already out there. Not over the phone, I said finally. Can you meet in person? Jerry's Diner, 20 minutes? I'll be there. The diner was nearly empty when I arrived. Maya Lopez sat in a back booth, a young Latina woman with sharp eyes and a notebook already open on the table. Thank you for meeting me, she said as I slid into the booth. I know this must be difficult. What do you want to know? Everything. Maya leaned forward. But not just about your arrest. I've been investigating Officer Rains for 6 months, following money trails, documenting patterns. Your case? It's the tip of a very large iceberg. I studied her carefully. What have you found? Enough to know that Rains and his crew are running a racket. False arrests feeding into private probation. But I keep hitting walls. Sources go quiet. Records disappear. She paused. Then I saw the video of what happened to you. And I knew this was my chance. Your chance for what? To finally expose this. But I need someone on the inside. Someone who understands how the system works. Maya's eyes blazed with conviction. Someone who won't back down when they push back. and they will push back. I thought about the threat I'd received, the way my colleagues were already treating me like I was radioactive, the lies Rains had put in his report. "What's your angle on this story?" I asked. "The truth. How a racist cop and a corporate machine are destroying Black lives for profit." Maya's voice was steady. "This isn't just a story for me. I grew up watching my immigrant parents harassed by police, targeted by predatory companies. This is personal." I made a decision. "I can't be your official source," I said carefully, "but I might know people who can help you follow the money." Maya smiled. "That's all I need." We spent the next hour comparing notes, the patterns I'd found in arrest records, the financial connections Carla had discovered, the victim statements starting to pile up. "There's something else you should know," Maya said as we prepared to leave. "Ever heard of the Justice Coalition? The community activist group? They've been documenting Rain's abuse for years, gathering evidence, waiting for someone with the power to do something about it." Maya handed me a business card. "Reverend Marcus Green. He wants to meet you." 2 hours later, I sat in a cramped community center meeting room. Reverend Marcus Green, a tall man with graying temples, spread photos across the table. "These are just from the past 3 months," he said. "All false arrests by Rains and his crew." Around the table sat other community leaders, teachers, small business owners, activists. Each had stories about Rains. Each had been gathering evidence. "We've been documenting everything," said Lisa Chen, a local teacher. "Videos, witness statements, medical records from people Rains roughed up. But every complaint gets buried," added Jerome Wilson, who owned a barber shop near the mall. "The police review board is useless. They're all in Greenwood's pocket." Maya took rapid notes while I examined the evidence. Dozens of sworn statements described the same pattern: false accusations, violent arrests, pressure to accept plea deals. "This woman," Reverend Green pointed to a photo, "single mother of 3. Rains claimed she assaulted him during a traffic stop. Now she's paying $300 a month in probation fees. Had to take a second job. They threatened to take her kids if she fought the charges," Lisa added quietly. My hands clenched. "Why haven't these stories come out before?" "Fear," Jerome said simply. "Rains makes examples of people who speak up. Strange traffic stops, sudden building code violations, kids getting hassled at school. But we kept records," Reverend Green said, looking at me meaningfully. "Waiting for someone with the power to do something." The weight of their trust settled on my shoulders. These people had been fighting this battle for years, and now they were looking to me for help. "With these statements and my financial documents, we could build a solid case," Maya said. "The Herald would publish it." "It would take more than one article," I cautioned. "The Greenwood family has armies of lawyers." "Then we'll write a series," Maya said firmly. "Follow every thread. Show how deep this goes." We spent another hour planning, connecting pieces of the puzzle. The activists had years of documentation. Maya had financial expertise. I had insider knowledge of police procedures. "We need to move carefully," I warned as we wrapped up. "These people won't go down without a fight." "That's why we need to strike hard and fast," Maya argued. "Once the first story breaks, others will come forward." Darkness had fallen by the time I pulled into my driveway. The day's revelations weighed heavily. So many lives affected. So much evidence ignored. My porch light flickered as I approached my front door. The mailbox was stuffed full, overflowing onto the ground. Strange. Mail had already been delivered this morning. Gathering the scattered envelopes, my stomach tightened. No return addresses, no postmarks. Hand-delivered. Inside, I spread them on my kitchen table. My hands trembled slightly as I opened the first one. A crude drawing of a hanging figure. Below it, words cut from magazines. "Mind your business." The next contained photos. Surveillance shots of me leaving my house, shopping, meeting Carla. Someone had been following me. More letters spilled out, racial slurs in jagged handwriting, threats against my family, pictures of my niece's school. The last envelope held a single photo, me being arrested at the mall. Someone had drawn crosshairs over my face. I sat heavily in my kitchen chair, the hate mail surrounding me like toxic confetti. They were trying to scare me into silence, like they'd scared so many others. But they'd made a mistake. Denise Carter didn't scare easily. And now I had proof they were worried enough to threaten me. I gathered the letters carefully, preserving any potential evidence. Tomorrow, I'd show them to Maya and the coalition. Let them document one more example of intimidation. The threats meant I was on the right track, and I wasn't alone anymore. My phone buzzed with a text from Carla. "You okay? Saw some disturbing posts online about you." I typed back quickly. "I'm fine. Can you meet tomorrow? Something big is developing." The reply came immediately. "My office. 8 a.m. Be careful." I looked around my house, suddenly aware of every shadow, every sound. But I wasn't going to hide, wasn't going to let them win. Tomorrow, we'd start building our case. Tonight, I'd rest knowing that the truth was on my side, and that sometimes, that had to be enough. This is the end of part 2. Watch out for part 3.